The silence was deafening. Suspended high above the blue-green planet, the massive alien vessel cast a shadow that stretched across entire continents. Its sleek obsidian hull reflected nothing, absorbing light like a cosmic void that consumed everything in its path. The ship represented the pinnacle of the Celestial Accord's technological supremacy, a vessel that had brought hundreds of civilizations to their knees. Inside the ship's central command chamber, Captain Zara overlooked the holographic representation of Earth. Countless data streams scrolled across translucent screens, each line of information meticulously analyzed by the most advanced artificial intelligence in known space. The planet below seemed almost laughably primitive compared to the technological marvel that now observed it. Earth's orbital defenses were a joke. Primitive satellites, a handful of space stations, and several partially completed international defense platforms. The planet's nations still squabbled among themselves, seemingly unaware of the monumental threat that now hovered just beyond their atmosphere. Commander Krell, Zara's second-in-command, studied the incoming data with growing confusion. The communication patterns are unusual, he muttered, his three-fingered hand sliding across the holographic interface. Linguistic algorithms designed to decode and translate thousands of known languages struggled with the human communication networks. What should have been a straightforward reconnaissance mission had become increasingly complex. Earth's internet, a chaotic network of information exchange, defied their standard analysis protocols. Memes, viral videos, complex social interactions, and seemingly nonsensical communication patterns created a noise that their sophisticated translation systems could barely penetrate. "Prepare the standard communication protocol," Captain Zara commanded. Her voice carried the weight of centuries of successful conquests. The Celestial Accord had a perfect record. No civilization had ever successfully resisted their advanced technological and strategic capabilities. The first transmission was a standard ultimatum, translated into every known human language and broadcast across all possible communication frequencies. It was a message that had brought countless civilizations to immediate surrender. Inhabitants of the third planet, you have been identified as a developing species within our established galactic boundaries. Your technological and social development will cease immediately. Prepare for integration or face complete elimination. You have 48 standard solar cycles to comply. In command centers across Earth, government officials and military leaders stared in shock as the message played across secure and public channels. The United Nations emergency session descended into controlled chaos. Military strategists from different countries exchanged worried glances, knowing that their combined technological capabilities were generations behind the vessel that now threatened their existence. What the Celestial Accord did not understand was the nature of human resilience. In a small research facility in California, a team of scientists and programmers had been preparing for this moment for years. Not through traditional military strategies, but through an intricate network of global collaboration that transcended national boundaries. Universities, tech companies, independent researchers, and government think tanks had been quietly developing contingency plans for scenarios that most considered pure science fiction. Dr. Elena Rodriguez leaned back in her chair, a complex network of communication links surrounding her. Her team represented a microcosm of human potential. Individuals from different backgrounds, disciplines, and cultures, united by a single purpose. They were not preparing to fight with conventional weapons, but with something far more powerful. Human creativity and adaptability. "They're scanning our communication networks," she said calmly, her fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. "But they don't understand what they're seeing." And they were right. The alien vessel's advanced systems were designed to analyze and categorize. They could process complex mathematical equations, decode intricate communication protocols, and predict the behavioral patterns of thousands of civilizations. But humanity was different. Memes that made no logical sense, internet jokes that required complex cultural understanding, rapidly changing slang, and communication methods that evolved faster than any known linguistic system. These were the tools that now confused the most advanced intelligence in the galaxy. The countdown had begun. 48 hours that would determine the fate of an entire planet. But the Celestial Accord was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to turn the impossible into reality. The Global Response Center looked nothing like a traditional military command post. Nestled deep beneath the Sierra Nevada mountains, the facility hummed with an energy that defied conventional warfare strategies. Screens covered every wall, displaying a constantly shifting mosaic of information from around the world. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez stood at the center of this chaos, his mind racing faster than the data stream surrounding him. Traditional diplomatic channels had collapsed within hours of the alien ultimatum. Governments scrambled, militaries mobilized, but the real battle would be fought in a realm the Celestial Accord could never comprehend. "We're not going to fight them with weapons," Marcus announced to the assembled team of researchers, programmers, linguists, and unconventional thinkers. The room fell silent, a mixture of confusion and anticipation hanging in the air. A young programmer named Kai Chen spoke up. "You mean we're just going to let them—" "No," Marcus interrupted, a spark of excitement in his eyes. "We're going to fight them with something they can't possibly understand, pure human creativity." The plan was audacious. While world leaders negotiated and militaries prepared defensive positions, this team would wage a war of information, communication, and pure unpredictability. The Celestial Accord had conquered hundreds of civilizations through technological superiority and strategic precision. Humanity would counter with something far more powerful: adaptive intelligence that defied all logical patterns. Sarah Williams, a communications specialist, began mapping out the initial strategy. Social media platforms would become their first line of defense. Memes, viral content, complex linguistic puzzles, and rapidly evolving communication patterns would create a noise so intricate that the alien translation systems would break down. "Look at this." She pulled up a series of complex internet communications. To the untrained eye, it appeared to be nonsense. Inside jokes, rapidly changing slang, context-dependent humor that required deep cultural understanding. Their AI won't be able to parse this. The team began developing what they called cultural firewalls, communication strategies that relied on nuanced human experiences. Jokes that required understanding of specific cultural contexts, memes that changed meaning within hours, communication patterns that evolved faster than any translation algorithm could track. Dr. Rodriguez mapped out the core of their strategy. The Celestial Accord's communication systems were designed to analyze, categorize, and predict. Humanity would create something fundamentally unpredictable. Every time the alien systems thought they had understood a pattern, the team would shift, adapt, and create something entirely new. Global universities became unexpected war rooms. Linguistics departments worked on creating communication systems that would appear nonsensical to an outside observer. Computer science teams developed adaptive algorithms that changed their fundamental structure with each interaction. Artists and musicians contributed by creating complex audio and visual patterns that defied standard interpretation. "We're not just defending," Marcus explained to a group of international observers. "We're demonstrating the true nature of human potential." The first test came sooner than expected. The alien vessel began sending more detailed communication attempts, each more complex than the last. Where previous civilizations would have responded with direct communication or terror, humanity responded with a deluge of creative chaos. Social media exploded with carefully crafted content. Millions of users began creating elaborate inside jokes, complex memes, and communication patterns that shifted by the minute. Language itself became a weapon, slang that changed hourly, references that required deep cultural context, communication that was simultaneously meaningless and deeply significant. Kai developed a breakthrough algorithm that could generate communication patterns faster than any translation system could decode. "It's like a linguistic judo," he explained. "We're using their own analytical capabilities against them." The global research team worked in perfect synchronization. Linguists created communication puzzles, programmers developed adaptive algorithms, artists generated visual and audio content that defied standard interpretation. Every discipline became a potential weapon in this unprecedented conflict. As the 48-hour countdown continued, the Celestial Accord found itself facing an impossible challenge. Their most advanced translation systems began to fail, overwhelmed by a communication strategy that was fundamentally human, chaotic, creative, and impossible to predict. Marcus looked at the growing maps of communication interference, a smile spreading across his face. They weren't just defending Earth. They were revealing the true potential of human creativity. The real war had just begun, and humanity was just getting started. The research facility buzzed with an intensity that defied the gravity of their situation. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a massive holographic display, watching as streams of data from around the world converged into a complex, living network of information and possibility. The Celestial Accord had conquered hundreds of civilizations, each submission following a predictable pattern. They expected terror, submission, or futile resistance. Instead, they encountered something entirely unexpected, a species that transformed every limitation into an opportunity. It's not about technology, Elena explained to the international team gathered around her. It's about adaptation. Her team represented a microcosm of human potential. Researchers from different continents, disciplines, and backgrounds worked in perfect synchronization. A quantum physicist from Japan sat next to a behavioral psychologist from Brazil. A neural network specialist from Nigeria collaborated with a cultural anthropologist from India. Their diversity was their greatest strength. The holographic display showed the alien vessel's communication attempts. Each transmission was a marvel of technological precision, perfect mathematical algorithms, linguistically optimized communication patterns, and data compression that would make human computer scientists weep with admiration. But these transmissions contained a fatal flaw. They were predictable. Helen Chen, the team's lead computational linguist, had discovered something remarkable. Their communication is a closed system, she explained, pointing to intricate patterns on the screen. Every message follows a predetermined set of rules. They've optimized communication to the point of eliminating creativity. Human communication was different, messy, unpredictable, filled with nuance, context, and layers of meaning that defied straightforward interpretation. Where the Celestial Accord saw inefficiency, humans saw potential. The team began developing what they called adaptive response protocols. Traditional military defense strategies focused on physical protection. This approach was something entirely different, a defense mechanism based on cognitive flexibility. Universities around the world became unexpected research centers. Computer science departments developed neural networks that could learn and adapt faster than any known artificial intelligence. Linguistics teams studied communication patterns, creating models that could shift and change in real time. We're not just defending, Marcus Rodriguez observed, watching the complex data streams. We're evolving. The first true test came unexpectedly. The alien vessel began sending more detailed communication attempts, each transmission more complex than the last. They were studying humanity, attempting to understand their potential threat. What they didn't realize was that the very act of observation was changing the subject. Global communication networks transformed into a living, breathing defense system. Social media platforms became intelligence-gathering tools. Every meme, every viral video, every seemingly nonsensical internet trend became a piece of a larger, more complex puzzle. Dr. Rodriguez's team developed communication algorithms that could generate content faster than the alien systems could analyze. It was linguistic warfare, a constant stream of information that was simultaneously meaningless and deeply significant. Look at how they're trying to categorize us, Helen said, pointing to the alien communication attempts. Each transmission attempted to place humanity into a recognizable framework: species classification, technological development level, potential threat assessment, but humanity refused to be categorized. The team discovered something profound. The Celestial Accord's advanced systems were designed to analyze and predict. They could process complex mathematical equations, decode intricate communication protocols, and predict the behavioral patterns of thousands of civilizations. Humanity was different. They weaponized their greatest strength, the ability to be fundamentally unpredictable. Where other civilizations had rigid social structures and predictable response patterns, humans could shift, adapt, and create in ways that defied logical analysis. Cultural exchange became a form of resistance. Artists created visual puzzles that confused alien translation algorithms. Musicians composed frequencies that disrupted communication systems. Programmers developed adaptive code that changed faster than the invaders could analyze. As the countdown continued, the alien vessel found itself facing an impossible challenge. Their most advanced analytical systems began to fail, overwhelmed by a communication strategy that was fundamentally human, chaotic, creative, and impossible to predict. The real war was not about technology or military might. It was a battle of understanding, of perception, of the fundamental nature of intelligence itself. Humanity was about to teach the celestial accord a lesson they would never forget. The global communication network had become a weapon more powerful than any missile or energy weapon. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez watched as the intricate defense strategy unfolded across millions of screens, each displaying a different layer of humanity's unconventional resistance. In Tokyo, a group of game designers reprogrammed massive multiplayer online game servers to create complex communication patterns that would baffle any external analysis. Their algorithms generated millions of interactions that looked like normal gameplay, but were actually sophisticated communication nodes designed to confuse and misdirect. A team of musicians in Rio de Janeiro began composing experimental sound, frequencies that interfered with the alien vessel's communication systems. Each composition was a carefully crafted mathematical puzzle designed to create harmonic disruptions that pushed the boundaries of sound and information transfer. Street. Artists in New York transformed urban landscapes into living communication canvases. Murals, graffiti, and spontaneous art installations became part of a larger, more complex communication strategy. What looked like random street art to an untrained eye was actually a sophisticated network of visual information exchange. "They're trying to categorize us," Helen Chen explained to the international research team, "but we're creating a communication system that defies categorization." The psychological warfare was subtle, but devastating. Where traditional military strategies focused on physical confrontation, humanity was fighting on a completely different battlefield, the realm of perception and understanding. In Silicon Valley, a group of programmers developed what they called adaptive noise generators. These were sophisticated algorithms that could create communication patterns that changed faster than any translation system could analyze. Each message was a puzzle, a piece of performance art, a challenge to traditional communication models. Universities became unexpected research centers. Linguistics departments studied communication patterns that existed in the margins, slang, internet humor, cultural inside jokes that required deep contextual understanding. These became weapons more powerful than any traditional defense mechanism. The alien vessel's advanced systems began to show signs of strain. Their perfect, mathematically precise communication attempts were being met with a tsunami of human creativity that defied all logical analysis. A team of behavioral psychologists discovered something remarkable. The celestial accord's communication systems were designed to analyze and predict. They worked on fixed parameters with clearly defined input and output models. Humanity's communication was different, fluid, changing, full of nuance and contradiction. "We're not just resisting," Marcus explained during a global briefing. "We're demonstrating the true nature of human potential." Social media platforms transformed into complex communication networks. Millions of users became unwitting participants in a global defense strategy. Memes, viral videos, complex linguistic puzzles, each piece of content was a potential disruptive weapon. In Melbourne, a group of indigenous language experts began developing communication strategies based on their deep cultural knowledge. They understood something fundamental about language, that true communication goes far beyond words and mathematical precision. The alien vessel's attempts to categorize humanity became increasingly desperate. Each transmission revealed more about their own limitations than about the species they were attempting to understand. Kai Chen's breakthrough algorithm could generate communication patterns faster than any translation system could decode. "It's like linguistic judo," he explained. "We're using their own analytical capabilities against them." Artists became unexpected warriors in this conflict. Visual creators, musicians, writers. Each discipline contributed to a larger strategy of creative resistance. They were creating a communication system that was simultaneously a defense mechanism, an art form, and a declaration of human potential. The research team discovered that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to find meaning in chaos. Where the celestial accord saw randomness as a weakness, humans saw infinite possibility. As the 48-hour countdown continued, the alien vessel found itself facing an impossible challenge. Their most advanced translation systems began to fail, overwhelmed by a communication strategy that was fundamentally human, chaotic, creative, and impossible to predict. Marcus looked at the growing maps of communication interference, a smile spreading across his face. They weren't just defending Earth, they were revealing the true potential of human creativity. The real war had just begun, and humanity was just getting started. Information became the most potent weapon humanity had ever wielded. The Global Research Center beneath the Sierra Nevada mountains transformed into a nexus of human creativity. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of a complex communication network that defied every known principle of interstellar intelligence gathering. "We're not just defending," she told the assembled team of researchers, artists, programmers, and cultural experts. "We're rewriting the entire concept of communication." The internet had become a living, breathing defense system. What the Celestial Accord saw as chaos was actually the most sophisticated communication network in the known universe. Memes, viral videos, complex social interactions. Each piece of content was a carefully crafted weapon of psychological warfare. A team of linguists in Brazil discovered the first major breakthrough. They had been studying how human language evolved, how meaning could shift in an instant, how context could completely transform communication. The alien vessel's translation systems were designed for linear, predictable communication. Human language was anything but predictable. In Tokyo, a group of video game designers created elaborate communication protocols hidden within massive multiplayer online game environments. Each interaction, each seemingly random piece of in-game communication, was actually a sophisticated data transmission system that would baffle any external analytical approach. Musicians in New Orleans began composing experimental sound frequencies that did more than disrupt alien communication systems. These were living compositions that changed based on global input, creating audio landscapes that were simultaneously art and communication strategy. "Look at how they're trying to understand us," Helen Chen said, pointing to the alien vessel's communication attempts. Each transmission revealed more about the Celestial Accord's limitations than about humanity. Social media platforms became unexpected intelligence centers. What appeared to be random interactions were actually carefully orchestrated communication networks. A meme could carry more strategic information than a traditional military transmission. An internet joke could be a complex encryption method. The psychological warfare was subtle and devastating. Street artists in New York transformed urban landscapes into living communication canvases. Murals, graffiti, and spontaneous art installations became part of a larger, more complex information network. What looked like random street art was actually a sophisticated method of global communication. Universities around the world became research hubs. Linguistics departments studied communication patterns that existed in the margins. Internet slang, cultural inside jokes, communication methods that required deep contextual understanding. These became weapons more powerful than any traditional defense mechanism. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez had discovered something profound about human communication. Unlike the Celestial Accord's precise, mathematically structured communication systems, human interaction was fluid, changing, full of nuance, and apparent contradiction. A team of behavioral psychologists mapped out the true nature of human communication. The alien vessel systems were designed to analyze and predict, working on fixed parameters with clearly defined input and output models. Humanity's communication was different, a living, breathing entity that could change in an instant. In Melbourne, indigenous language experts developed communication strategies that drew from centuries of oral tradition. They understood something fundamental about language, that true communication goes far beyond words and mathematical precision. The alien vessel's attempts to categorize humanity became increasingly desperate. Each transmission revealed more about their own technological limitations than about the species they were attempting to understand. Social media became a global defense network. Millions of users became unwitting participants in a sophisticated communication strategy. A viral video could carry more strategic information than a traditional military report. An internet joke could be a complex encryption method. Artists became unexpected warriors in this conflict. Visual creators, musicians, writers, each discipline contributed to a larger strategy of creative resistance. They were creating a communication system that was simultaneously a defense mechanism, an art form, and a declaration of human potential. As the countdown continued, the alien vessel found itself facing an impossible challenge. Their most advanced translation systems began to fail, overwhelmed by a communication strategy that was fundamentally human, chaotic, creative, and impossible to predict. The real war was not about technology or military might. It was a battle of understanding, of perception, of the fundamental nature of intelligence itself. Humanity was about to teach the celestial accord a lesson they would never forget. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Kim Lee stood in the quantum research laboratory, her eyes fixed on a series of impossible readings. What had begun as a theoretical exploration of quantum communication had transformed into humanity's most powerful defensive technology. The international research team represented the pinnacle of human collaboration. Quantum physicists from China worked alongside computer scientists from India. Neural network specialists from Nigeria paired with communication theorists from Brazil. Their diversity was their greatest strength. "We're not just creating a technology," Dr. Lee explained to the assembled researchers. "We're developing a completely new way of understanding information itself." The quantum communication system defied everything the celestial accord understood about information transfer. Traditional communication relied on predictable transmission methods, linear, structured, easily analyzable. This new system was something entirely different, a living, adaptive network that could change its fundamental structure with each interaction. In a small laboratory in Stockholm, a team of neural network specialists had been developing adaptive algorithms that learned and transformed faster than any known artificial intelligence. Each interaction changed the system's fundamental structure, creating a communication method that was simultaneously a defense mechanism and an ongoing experiment in intelligence. The alien vessel's advanced systems began to show signs of strain. Their perfectly designed communication protocols encountered something they had never experienced before. A communication network that was fundamentally alive. Marcus Rodriguez watched the data streams with a sense of growing excitement. The quantum communication system was more than just a technological breakthrough. It was a demonstration of human potential, the ability to transform limitations into opportunities. Universities around the world became unexpected research centers. Computer science departments developed neural networks that could learn and adapt faster than any known artificial intelligence. Linguistics teams studied communication patterns that could shift and change in real time. The technological breakthrough went beyond traditional understanding of communication. It was a living system that could adapt, learn, and transform with each interaction. Where the celestial accord systems were fixed and predictable, this new human communication network was fluid and dynamic. A team of behavioral psychologists discovered something remarkable. The quantum communication system reflected the fundamental nature of human creativity, unpredictable, adaptive, capable of finding meaning in apparent chaos. In Tokyo, a group of game designers contributed to the research. They understood something fundamental about adaptive systems. that true intelligence was not about processing power, but about the ability to find unexpected solutions. The communication system became a reflection of human potential. Each interaction was an opportunity for growth, for transformation. It was a technology that was simultaneously a defense mechanism, an art form, and a declaration of human creativity. Helen Chen's research team had discovered the key to the breakthrough. The quantum communication system didn't just transmit information, it created it. Each interaction was a potential moment of creation, of unexpected possibility. The alien vessel's attempts to analyze the new communication system became increasingly desperate. Their most advanced analytical tools encountered something they could not comprehend, a communication method that was alive, that could change its fundamental structure with each interaction. Artists became unexpected contributors to this technological revolution. Visual creators, musicians, writers, each discipline provided insights into adaptive communication. They understood that true communication was about more than just transmitting information. It was about creating meaning. The research facility buzzed with an intensity that defied the gravity of their situation. Screens displayed complex data streams that looked more like living art than traditional scientific readings. Each line of code was a potential breakthrough, each algorithm a work of creative genius. As the countdown continued, the alien vessel found itself facing an impossible challenge. Their most advanced systems began to fail, overwhelmed by a communication strategy that was fundamentally human, chaotic, creative, and impossible to predict. Dr. Lee looked at the final set of readings, a smile spreading across her face. They weren't just developing a defensive technology, they were redefining the very nature of intelligence itself. The real war was not about technology or military might. It was a battle of understanding, of perception, of the fundamental nature of creativity and communication. Humanity was about to teach the Celestial Accord a lesson they would never forget. The final confrontation arrived with a silence more deafening than any weapon. Captain Zara of the Celestial Accord stared at the holographic displays, her advanced neural interfaces showing a breakdown that defied all logical understanding. Humanity had transformed every potential weakness into an unprecedented strength. The communication networks they had developed were no longer just defensive systems. They were living, breathing organisms of pure possibility. The alien fleet's command structure began to fracture. Each transmission from Earth created more confusion, more uncertainty. Where previous civilizations had collapsed under the first wave of invasion, humans had done something entirely unexpected. They had turned the invasion into a complex, global performance of resistance. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the Global Research Center, watching as the final stages of their defense strategy unfolded. The quantum communication network they had developed was more than a technological marvel. It was a testament to human creativity, adaptability, and the power of collaborative intelligence. Global communication platforms became battlegrounds of a different kind. Social media, online games, art installations, musical compositions, each became a node in a complex defensive network. What looked like chaos to the alien observers was actually a sophisticated, constantly evolving communication strategy. In Tokyo, a team of game designers had transformed massive multiplayer online environments into complex communication hubs. Each interaction, each seemingly random game movement, carried layers of strategic information that would baffle any external analytical system. Musicians in New Orleans continued their experimental sound compositions, creating audio landscapes that interfered with alien communication frequencies. These were living works of art that could adapt and change in real time, reflecting the fluid nature of human creativity. The alien vessel's most advanced translation and analysis systems began to collapse. They had encountered something fundamentally incomprehensible, a species that could transform limitation into opportunity, chaos into strategy. Marcus Rodriguez watched the global defensive network with a sense of profound understanding. Humanity's greatest strength had never been technological superiority. It was the ability to find meaning in uncertainty, to create possibility where others saw only limitation. Universities around the world had become unexpected research centers. linguistics departments, computer science teams, behavioral psychologists. Each discipline contributed to a larger understanding of human potential. They were not just defending against an invasion, they were demonstrating the true nature of intelligence. The quantum communication system developed by Dr. Kim Lee proved to be the ultimate weapon. It was not a traditional defensive technology, but a living network that could adapt, learn, and transform with each interaction. Where the celestial, accord systems were fixed and predictable, this human network was fluid and dynamic. Street artists in New York continued their contribution, transforming urban landscapes into complex communication canvases. Murals, graffiti, spontaneous art installations, each became a node in the global defensive network. What appeared random was actually a sophisticated method of information exchange. The alien command structure began to show signs of psychological strain. Their perfectly designed invasion protocols encountered a species that refused to be categorized, that could transform every limitation into an opportunity. In Melbourne, Indigenous language experts continued to provide crucial insights. Their deep understanding of communication, passed down through centuries of oral tradition, revealed something fundamental about human potential. True communication went far beyond words and mathematical precision. The global research team had discovered the ultimate truth about human intelligence. It was not about processing power or technological advancement. It was about the ability to find unexpected solutions, to create meaning in apparent chaos. As the final hours of the countdown approached, the alien vessel found itself in an impossible situation. Their most advanced systems were failing, overwhelmed by a communication strategy that was fundamentally human, chaotic, creative, and impossible to predict. Artists became the unexpected heroes of this conflict. Visual creators, musicians, writers, each discipline had contributed to a larger strategy of creative resistance. They had created a communication system that was simultaneously a defense mechanism, an art form, and a declaration of human potential. Dr. Elena Rodriguez looked at the final data streams, a smile spreading across her face. They were not just defending Earth. They were redefining the very nature of intelligence, of communication, of possibility itself. The real war had never been about technology or military might. It was a battle of understanding, of perception, of the fundamental nature of creativity and communication. Humanity was about to teach the Celestial Accord a lesson they would never forget. The silence was profound. As the final moments of the 48-hour countdown approached, the Celestial Accord's massive vessel hung motionless above Earth. Inside the ship's command center, Captain Zara experienced something unprecedented. In her species' long history of galactic conquests, complete and total incomprehension, humanity had done the impossible. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the Global Research Center, surrounded by a team that represented the true strength of human potential. They had not just defended their planet. They had fundamentally challenged every known principle of interstellar communication, conflict, and intelligence. The quantum communication network they had developed was more than a technological marvel. It was a living testament to human creativity, adaptability, and the power of collaborative intelligence. Every interaction, every moment of communication had been a demonstration of humanity's most profound strength, the ability to find meaning in chaos. Communication intercepts showed increasing confusion among the alien leadership. Their most advanced systems had been reduced to a state of complete analytical breakdown. Where they expected submission or destruction, they found something entirely unexpected, a species that refused to be categorized, understood, or conquered. Marcus Rodriguez reviewed the final data streams. The global defense strategy had been more than a military response. It was a collective performance of human potential, a demonstration of how diversity, creativity, and collaborative intelligence could become the most powerful weapon in the universe. Universities around the world celebrated a victory that went far beyond traditional military triumph. Linguistics departments, computer science teams, behavioral psychologists, each discipline had contributed to a larger understanding of human capability. They had not just defended against an invasion. They had redefined the very nature of intelligence. The alien vessel's retreat was not a traditional withdrawal. It was a complete collapse of their invasion strategy. Their perfectly designed communication and analysis systems had been overwhelmed by a method of interaction that defied all known principles of interstellar intelligence. In Tokyo, game designers who had transformed massive multiplayer online environments into communication hubs watched with a sense of profound achievement. In New Orleans, musicians who had created sound frequencies that disrupted alien communication systems celebrated their unexpected contribution to global defense. Dr. Kim Lee's quantum communication research had proven to be the ultimate breakthrough. The system they had developed was not a traditional defensive technology, but a living network that could adapt, learn, and transform with each interaction. Where the Celestial Accord's systems were fixed and predictable, this human network was fluid and dynamic. Street artists in New York who had transformed urban landscapes into complex communication canvases understood something fundamental. Their art had been more than visual expression. It had been a crucial node in a global defensive network. The global research team had discovered the ultimate truth about human intelligence. It was not about technological advancement or processing power. It was about the ability to find unexpected solutions, to create meaning in apparent chaos, to transform limitation into opportunity. Indigenous language experts in Melbourne provided crucial insights into the victory. Their deep understanding of communication, passed down through centuries of oral tradition, had revealed something profound about human potential. True communication went far beyond words and mathematical precision. As the alien vessel began its slow retreat, humanity watched with a mixture of relief and pride. They had not just defended their planet. They had demonstrated a fundamental truth about the nature of intelligence, of communication, of possibility itself. The Celestial Accord would spend generations trying to understand what had happened. How could a seemingly primitive species defeat the most advanced invasion force in galactic history? The answer was both simple and incomprehensible. Human creativity, adaptability, and the power of collaborative intelligence. Dr. Elena Rodriguez looked at the final data streams, a smile spreading across her face. They were not just celebrating a victory. They were marking a fundamental shift in understanding of what intelligence could be. The global communication network continued to pulse with life, a living testament to human potential. Artists, scientists, linguists, musicians, each had played a crucial role in this unexpected victory. As the alien vessel disappeared into the vast darkness of space, humanity looked to the future. They had not just survived an invasion, they had redefined the very nature of intelligence, of communication, of possibility. The real victory was not about defeating an enemy. It was about demonstrating the true potential of human creativity, collaboration, and the ability to find meaning in the most unexpected places. Humanity had taught the Celestial Accord a lesson they would never forget.